Good morning, everyone. I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy. I would like to start this short speech with a little question. How many of you know how to drive a car? Okay, so now, how many of you know how to drive a manual transmission car, or at least how many of you know what they are? I remember that when I was 10 or 11 years old, I learned how to drive a car. Yes, I know it's kind of early, no? It was in my father's pickup truck, a white 1994 Chevrolet Sonoma. And why am I saying this? Because it was a manual transmission car. In those years, my father used that pickup for working and also for the family. He has a small business in which he needs these kind of cars for doing all their stuff. And I learned how practical and useful are these kind of cars that have a manual gearbox. Either because you are in absolutely control of the car or because these kind of gearboxes are too durable and reliable. So when I had my first car, I wanted it to be a manual transmission car. And yes, it was a 1995 Jeep Wrangler. And also, my actual car is a manual transmission car. It is a 2017 Ford Mustang V6 with 6 gears and reverse. And there are 2 or 3 times in which having this kind of cars has taken me out of trouble. My name is Miguel Carranza, and during this presentation, I will persuade you that owning a manual gearbox car is better than an automatic car. First, I will focus on the pros of having a manual car and giving examples of daily situations in which owning one of these cars will help you a lot. For this, I will separate it on 3 main points. The first one, the full control of the car and a better driving feeling. When you are driving a manual car, you have the entire control of all things that it is developing. You can select in which gear you want to be at according to the conditions and needs for that specific time of driving. In these cars, there isn't a computer intervention for a shift change, so there's only you and the car. The feeling that driving these cars gives to you is something different. David Lipohar, a technician and Uber fabricator, stated on the 2018, a manual transmission by its very nature demands more attention from the driver. Between the clutch and the flywheel, to selecting another gear, to slipping the clutch and re-engaging the flywheel, using a manual transmission requires more attention to the task of driving, which means that you are in whole control of the car. Okay, the second point, less maintenance. People think that manual gearboxes cars will be more expensive to maintain. This due to the constant interaction that you are having with the gearbox. But it is absolutely wrong. A manual gearbox is less complicated, which means that there are less things that can go wrong. If you own a manual car, the only maintenance that you must be thinking in terms of the gearbox are the clutch and the fluid for the gearbox. And according to Stone Acre Motor Group, a motor vehicle organization on 2020 stated, most clutches are designed to last approximately 60,000 miles before they need to be replaced, which means that maybe you won't have the car when the clutch needs to be replaced. This because the average of owning the same car here at the US is about 4 or 5 years. Okay, the third point, a millennial anti-theft device. Julia Eddington, a New York writer, stated on the 2019, at last count, just 3.9% of cars sold in US were built with manual transmissions. This means that here at the US, every day less people are driving manual cars, and specifically the people that was born on the 80s to now are the people that in their majority don't know how to drive a manual car. This allows that people that drives a manual car to be the 4% of all the drivers in the US. This makes your manual gearbox an anti-theft system. Okay, now that I have stated the pros of owning a manual car, let's talk about the cons of having an automatic transmission car and how the manual gearbox solves that specific issue. For this, I will separate it on 3 main points as well. The first one, automatic cars are more expensive. According to the website Autolist on 2019, Manual cars are about 1,000 cheaper than automatic cars on average as of 2019. This means that besides that it has a lower maintenance cost than an automatic transmission car, it also costs less when purchasing one manual car. In addition to this, insuring a manual car is cheaper than an automatic one. This due to the more expensive cost of reparations for automatic transmission cars. For example, according to comparethemarket.com, a website on 2020 stated that insuring a Honda Civic with manual transmission gearbox is about 50% cheaper than the same car in its automatic version, but it depends on the car and the model. The second point, automatic gearboxes are more likely to break down. Automatic transmission cars are more likely to stop working. This because of their complex system that involves more pieces working together at the same time to develop a specific thing. This could be an explanation of why we can see in the car shops the sign that says automatic transmission repairs. This because of their nature to break down more frequently than a manual gearbox. Okay, and lastly, the third point. A manual car can start on conditions that an automatic doesn't. For this, I will put an example. Imagine that you are at the mall and you park your manual car and go into the mall. You do your shopping and you are ready to go home. But when you go into the car, you notice that someone stole your car or you leave the car lights turned when you parked it or whatever. In this hypothetical situation, you could do many things. You could go to the mall and buy a new battery. You could call towing service, or you could ask for someone's help. But if you aren't able to do any of these things, you could do something. You could put your car on the first gear and push it, and when it's moving, turn it on. This because the manual gearbox connects everything when it is in a shift, even if the car is off. In closing, driving a manual gearbox car driving a manual gearbox car could be more useful for many things, like price, the cost of maintenance, the emotions that driving it brings to you, and that it allows you to, once you learn how to drive it, you can drive whatever you want, either a car, a truck, or a bus, etc. And manual cars give you the complete control when driving it, and it allows you to be a multitask person. This is because of the several things that you must be doing when driving one of these cars. Personally, I love them, and I am sure that with all this information, you will love them too. Thank you.